You know, if I made this video 2 years ago, I probably would have had to film it on my bed. Hello and welcome to Channel 2S. I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and welcome back to the workbench. Today, as you can see, we have a absolutely enormous model in front of us, and I am, quite frankly, kind of impressed that I can actually get the whole thing in shot. When I set up this workbench that I have nowadays, with the black tablecloth over it and the stuff in the background, I kind of set this up with the intent that I would be able to hopefully film larger things on it, since a lot of my older filming setups had some serious size restraints. Back when I was using a light box for my videos, I couldn't even get a full MG box in frame. So I'm kind of excited to be able to finally push my filming setup to my limits, but I'm more excited to have a frickin' perfect grade sitting on my workbench. So this is, you know, a bit of a step up for me. I've definitely never tackled anything this big, and I chose the red frame because it's always been not just a first kit for me, but always been kind of a favorite of mine. I really like the red frame as design, and it just so happens that my first master grade was the red frame, and one of my first high grades was the red frame. So really, what better way to start my perfect grade experience? Now, I did choose to go with the standard red frame Astray as opposed to the Kai because, maybe a bit of a controversial opinion here, I really don't like the tactical arms. Now, I don't mean that from an aesthetic standpoint. I think the thing looks great. It looks awesome in the manga. It looks awesome in pictures, but that thing just doesn't work when you bring it into the realm of reality. It's heavy, it's clunky, it's annoying, it makes things fall over, you have to stick an extra stand underneath it just to get him to hold the thing. It's a giant pain in the ass, and I have not touched the tactical arms from my Master Grade Astray since probably like 2017. So for the perfect grade, I figured I might as well save myself $80 to $150 and just get the basic version. I'm pretty excited to crack into this, but before we get there, we gotta thank the sponsor that made this all possible, New Type HQ. New Type HQ is a US-based Gunpla store where you can get your kits, models, and supplies, and if you use code Channel2S, you will save 10% off your first order. If it wasn't for New Type's help, I probably would never have actually bought this kit, so big thank you to them. Links in the description, go check them out. All right, now let's go up close and take a better look at this thing. So this is the front of the box for the perfect grade red frame Astray, or the front. It's hard to do air quotes with one hand. And one thing that speaks volumes about this kit is how there's no artwork on it. Bandai knows they don't need cool box art to sell this kit. They know the kit itself is the art. And one of my favorite touches on this side of the box is the giant kanji that he has literally sliced in half with his katana. You can really tell that someone on Bandai's graphic design team had a lot of fun making this box. Another pretty cool thing they did was basically give the box two front sides. Now, the side of the box we've been looking at up to this point pretty much looks like the front of a Gunpla box. However, that is arguably not the case, because the other side of the box is equally worthy of being called the front. We have a whole new set of images on this side of the box. The Astray's in a much more neutral pose. He's getting ready to put his katana away. He just brought it out for a second just to show it off to you, because what's the point of having a katana if you're not going to show it to people? And Logier, the pilot of the red frame Astray, is absolutely the kind of guy who would take any excuse to whip out his katana. Speaking of the katana, you can see a bit of a close-up of the blade in the background, reflecting the face of the red frame up here in this corner, and all the same information down here. Now, personally, I'm a fan of the other front of the box, but I think this one's still pretty cool as well. Now, for the top of the box, they made a really interesting design choice. So not only is all of the information vertical, so I guess if you're a store and you want to stock this kit and you don't have a lot of space, you can just stack them up like books. But they did a kind of cool thing at the top here that I doubt you can see. In fact, I'm almost certain you can't see this. But there are kanji not printed onto the top of the box, but stamped in. So you can barely see these even in person, but if you run your hand over them, you can definitely feel the raised surface. It's a pretty cool little touch, and it was really only made possible by the fact that this box is made out of a much thicker corrugated cardboard than what you'd expect to see with a standard model kit box. It's only once you come to the bottom of the box where you start to see some more familiar elements of standard Gunpla packaging. As we move down here, we can see some pictures from the front and back of the basic model, as well as a few feature callouts, and this is really the most information you'll be able to glean off the box as to what this kit's really all about. However, I'm assuming that Bandai has probably guessed that anyone buying this kit has probably done their research first and definitely knows what they're getting into. Perfect grades aren't really something you can just dive into, he says right before diving into it. So speaking of diving in, let's do just that to this box. Now, I did have just enough space to show you the box on this table. However, I have no idea if I'll actually have enough space to pull everything out. So this is the part where it's probably kind of handy to know where the actual front of the box is, because it would kind of suck to pull all this stuff out upside down. So I should be able to just pull this out Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to finish taking this out off camera. So here you can see everything that you get with the red frame Astray. Now there's a couple things that really jump out to me as I look at this. Number one, there is a smaller box that seems to take up about, I would say, half the real estate of the larger tray. And then his whole katana blade is right here in the side. They must have done something to the wavy edge on the front because it's not catching light in the same way as the rest of the blade. There's a little bit of a safety sheath on the tip of the blade so you don't stab yourself, or so you don't break the tip off, but I like my first answer better. There is a lot of extra warning material inside this bag, just hammering home how serious and dangerous this thing is. Ooh, they actually give you a, hang on, I can tell right now by looking through the viewfinder, you cannot see what I'm looking at. Okay, I cannot get the camera to focus on this thing, so what I'm talking about in this bag is basically like the same kind of little plastic cap you see on this paintbrush, but there's one included in that little yellow bag so you can stick it over the tip of the sword when you're transporting the kit so it doesn't break the tip off. And just to give you an idea of how big this kit is, this is runner W, as in like the fourth from last letter of the alphabet. We're gonna be here a while. So I kind of want to see what this whole box right here is about, because I know some of the older perfect grades came with a smaller storage box that you can put the kit in once it was completed, but I thought that the red frame didn't come with one of those, so I'm kind of surprised to see that here. However, looking at it right now, I would assume that is probably pretty much what it is. I don't know, I mean, it doesn't look like a full-size box. There's no bottom to it. I guess they just wanted a way to include another picture of the red frame. All right, so we got a lot of documentation here. We just straight up have a chapter of the Gundam Astray manga. Then in true perfect grade fashion, this kit has both a instruction manual and a construction manual. So the construction manual tells you how to build the kit, and then the instruction manual is just here to show you what you can do with it once it's built. And also it has just a crap ton of lore. We got a decal guide, all the pictures they would normally expect to see on the side of the box if this was a smaller model, color guide, and pretty much the entire Astray genealogy in one convenient flowchart. This part's actually pretty cool. The construction manual, on the other hand, is basically all those boring black and white pages that I skip over whenever I'm showing the instruction manual in an unboxing. So that's probably the last you'll ever see of that. So let's talk about this runner with its frankly awesome looking multicolor molding. Now nowadays this isn't anything too impressive, but back when this kit was made, there weren't a lot of kits that used this style of injection. So seeing the hands of the red frame for the first time ever, not just molded on one piece like this, but molded in the correct colors with the white and red alternating knuckles was pretty incredible. And to this day, I'm pretty sure this is the only version of the red frame we've gotten where it actually has the correct finger color separation. Now this kit apparently also reuses a lot of elements from the Perfect Grade Strike Gundam, so as a result, we do have a pair of white and red leftover Strike switchblades. Now presumably the only reason these are here is because they happen to be in between the hands and the eyes. We do have some little springs and screws in the next bag that I'm assuming are for the LED gimmick. And most of the runners in here, because there's so many of them, I'm not going to go over one by one. If it's like this, where it's just a runner of parts and there's nothing I can really say about it, I'm just going to skip over it. So the next runner of interest would probably be this beautiful gold one that has some incredible detailing around the handle. I cannot wait to see how the sword looks on the completed model because the detailing on these pieces here is absolutely beautiful. Now, unfortunately, as far as I can tell, this kit does not come with water slides. You get foil stickers, you get clear stickers, you get dry transfers, but I am not seeing any water slides so far. Here we got some chrome silver pieces for all the hydraulics. Here on the A runner, we can see some clear green parts, and this was a part of this design that I used to not be completely sold on, and it did take me quite a while to get used to seeing all these little clear bits attached to the red frame. Now I think it's pretty cool, but there was a time where this was one of my least favorite aspects of this design. So we got a pretty normal bag of parts right here, you know, just a couple sheets of polycaps, nothing fancy, just some polycaps and die-cast metal pieces. There are pieces of actual metal that go into the hips and waist of this model. And I knew this beforehand, but feeling metal parts for a Gundam in my hand and realizing these are actually going in the kit is so surreal. And you know your kit is big when the beam saber blades have to be molded separately. The color they chose for this is pretty nice because it's close to the standard beam saber pink, but they added a little bit of glitter in there to give it that extra sparkle. There is literally a runner X in this box. According to the instruction manual, this kit's runners go all the way to Z. And that's not even counting duplicates. If I said there were at least 30 runners in this kit, I would not be exaggerating. There's a lot of plastic to work with here. But now that I've made an absolute mess of my workbench without technically even opening any bags, I haven't taken anything out of the bags yet even. All I've done is taken some bags of parts out of a box and I have covered my entire workspace. So I'm gonna have to seriously think about how I'm gonna be setting this up for when I actually build this thing. And in the meantime, I gotta wrap this video up because it is getting way too long. So Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. If you're new to Channel 2S, subscribe for more Gundam and Gunpla content. And as always, I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.